Lovely. Okay, so welcome everybody. A lot of you know me already. I'm Debra Brunner. I'm the co-founder and CEO of the Together Plan. I'm based in the UK, and as you've just heard from Artur, he is the other co-founder and he is based in Minsk in Belarus. So you will hear from both of us, but I'm going to start the ball rolling. So I'm going to share my screen and talk you through some slides and bring you up to speed with what's going on. So the Brest-Litovsk Jewish Cemetery is a project that many of you know. The memorial is a project we've been involved with for a very long time now, since really 2014, and it's been a very long journey. And I'm going to sort of talk you through some of that now and tell you where we're at and tell you what's ahead of us. So for those of you who don't know about us, the Together Plan is a charity that works with Jewish communities in Belarus, supporting initiatives that support revival and sustainability. Our work is focused on Jewish cultural heritage, and we work together to tell the story of the past to build a safe and sustainable future, because there is no future without the past. And we are a member of an organisation called the European Association for the Preservation of Jewish Heritage and Culture. They are based in Barcelona, and they are the umbrella organisation of historians, museums, heritage practitioners and charities that work across the whole of Europe to build the European root of Jewish heritage, which is one of the cultural roots of the Council of Europe. And our focus is in Belarus. So our official partners are Jewish Tapestry Project, our sister nonprofit in the United States, Dialogue, which is a Belarus registered charity, of which Artur is the chairman, and the Jewish Religious Union of Belarus, of which Artur became the chairman last October. Now, the project, the actual memorial, is in Brest, formerly known as Brest-Litovsk. This is a very old map where you can see the eastern part of Poland that became Belarus. So you can see here, Minsk used to be very close to the border of Poland, but it's now in the center of the country. So this is where Artur is, and the memorial is down here in the south of the country. So just to orientate yourselves. And this is a modern day map from Google. So you can see now Minsk in the center of the country and Brest down here by the Polish border. So the road so far and the road ahead. So just to give you an overview of where we've been and where we're going. So back in 2021, we signed an exclusive agreement to design and build a memorial using the gravestones that had been found all over the region. They had been people had been finding them everywhere and returning them to the Jewish community for a good, over 20 years, closer to, I would say, 30 years now. And this came to our attention because of work we were doing with the local Jewish community in Brest. And we wanted to help to ensure that they had a future rather than just being piled up. But we had that deadline, the exclusive agreement had a deadline on it, that we had to do something by the end of 2024. So we sorted the headstones in 2021. We photographed them, we officially photographed them. We we translated everything we could, and created a catalogue in 2022. We commissioned, with the support of a donor, a design of a memorial in 2023. The design was approved by the Brest authorities in 2023. We submitted the building applications, which were approved at the end of 2023. And then last year, we ran a crowdfunding campaign. We initiated in March. It took place in May, and which I'll tell you more about in a minute. And the construction commenced last October. So that is all behind us. And I'm going to show you some images of what's happening at the site at the moment. But due to a variety of reasons, sanctions, inflation, that we're a little bit short of the funding. So we're having a final fundraising push which I'm going to tell you about, which people can participate in between April the 18th and June the 8th, with construction due to complete this summer, and an opening being planned for July the 28th in 2025. We'll tell you why that date later. The memorial design has been created by Brad Goldberg. He's an American artist, landscape artist and designer, and the design looks like this. It's a very stunning design, and as you can see, the gravestones, the salvaged gravestones, are going to return to the land. That was the cemetery, and still is technically the cemetery, because the bodies are still buried there. So this whole design has been created so that it's built, it's on top of its surface. It goes up because you can't dig down. And there's another view of what it will look like. And this is an old image of the cemetery. So it was a very well established cemetery. And another colorized version of a photograph from that cemetery. Now, this is the first image I ever saw. It was a photograph taken by Artur when he was visiting the community back in 2013, and he sent me this image. And actually, 2013 was the year that we registered as a non-profit, as the Together Plan. So our journey was just beginning, and I couldn't quite make sense of what I was seeing, because as you can see, this isn't as you would normally see Jewish gravestones. Many broken, this very beautiful one here is still intact, and then a whole lot behind, if you can see, all stacked up. And this was in Brest, and it was under the arches of an outdoor area of the Brest fortress. And I don't know if any of you know about it. It was a very, very significant complex in Brest that had been given over to the Jewish community as a space for the stones to be taken to. But they kept coming and they kept coming, but people weren't respecting them. And as you can see, there was a lot of rubbish that was just being thrown on them, which was just not okay. And the following year, I went out to see them. And this was a photograph that I took in 2014. While I was there was a phone call that came into the community from a local construction company. They were digging the foundations for a supermarket, and they dug up a whole load of these gravestones, and they called us, and we went along, and this is what we saw. So we took these photographs. We arranged to have these all of the gravestones collected and taken to where the others were under the arches of the Brest fortress. And this was my photograph in 2014. Now, this was later because what happened was we then ran a campaign to raise money for a fence so that people could no longer get to them and throw their rubbish. As you can see, this is the fence that we were able to put in place. And then the community were able to put some order to the gravestones to actually see the extent of what was there, clear away the rubbish, and make some sort of get everything into an order. But the more that happened, the more were being found, and they really were continuing to come. This is the cemetery as it looks today. It is a running track, and just to, while we're at this point, going back to the date, the 28th of July, it's the date that the authorities, the local authorities in Brest, have said they would like to have an official opening of the memorial, because it signifies the anniversary of the date that during the Soviet Union they decided to build this sports stadium 60 years ago. It's also that marks the day, ironically, it's also the same day of the liberation of Brest in 1944. So it has a double significance, which is why they really want to try and aim for that day as the official opening. Now, behind this fence here is the running track, the sports stadium. But beyond this fence, this land was also still cemetery land, is cemetery land. There is nothing there to mark this as a cemetery today. People walk past, they don't know it's a cemetery. So it is really hidden history. But this is the area that we were able to negotiate with the authorities, that if we could raise the funds and get a design, they would allow us to build the memorial. So this is the site of the construction at the moment. As you can see, there are a few gravestones that can still be found in the area, but they're very, very far and few between. This is a member of the Brest Jewish community. We got this story into the Times in 2021. Now, what happened was towards the end of 2019, the end of 2020. No, the beginning of 2020, all the gravestones disappeared. They were relocated. We didn't know where they'd gone. And I said to Artur, where are they? He said, I don't know. I said, we need to find them. Artur went on a journey and found them. But they'd all been relocated to a warehouse on the outskirts of Brest. And unfortunately, they hadn't been moved with care, as you can see. And so many were broken along the way, very sadly. I flew out to Belarus early 2020 to see them, just before the pandemic, where we made a film, and these are my photographs, which was very sad. It really was a setback. As you can see, here's a picture of me standing amongst them. And we really realized this couldn't go on. We had to do something. So it was at this point that we found our supporter and really started to gain traction. And that was when we were able to get into the warehouse. Here you can see Artur with our team, once again putting some order to the gravestones. And that was when we were able to start doing the photography, as you can see here. So this is our team meticulously taking photographs of every single piece. And our catalogue has 1,249 pieces listed. Now, we then knew that we needed to do, once we had the commissioned design, we knew we had to do some fundraising. And so in May of last year, we organised a crowdfunding campaign where a number of people who are actually, I know who are watching now, participated. And also at the same time, I'm a member of a business networking group in the UK, and they decided that they would support and decided to keep an exercise bike pedaling for 36 hours, which nearly killed us, or nearly killed me, and which we did. But it was a lot of fun. And here you can see them driving the campaign and keeping the bike going throughout the night as the money was raised. And I'm very pleased to say that we hit the target. This is the team in Minsk, who were also cycling an exercise bike at the same time as us through their night. And we hit our target, which was very exciting. And that was what enabled us to start the construction. So I'm going to hand over now to Artur, who will talk you through the construction phase.
Yes, hello again. Yeah, the construction phase is, has been, is still been quite difficult, as maybe some of you know. It's even more than to construct the house, because there's so many details, and this project is so unique that it requires a lot of efforts and a lot of conversation, and every detail has to be discussed, both in Belarus, outside of Belarus, with an architect, with a person who designed it. I'm in Minsk. Nikolai here, you can see on the photo, is on the left. He is our man on the ground in Brest. He is a very experienced architect and constructor, and he is supervising the project in Brest. And we talk on the phone every day. Probably takes several hours to discuss all the details, and we often meet either in Minsk or I go to Brest, because the project is very, very, very unique for Belarus, and I think actually for the Eastern and probably Western Europe as well. I don't know any other project like that has been constructed anywhere in Europe, and that's why it requires a lot of attention from us. We can move to the next slide, Debra. Yes, we've started the construction in October 2024. As you saw the previous photos, that there's been nothing on the ground. Now because it's a cemetery, we have planned not to dig anywhere because of the bones. And the foundation had to be brought so that the memorial is going to be built on top of the foundation without any digging, without having a firm foundation in the ground. So we had to bring some of the earth and some of the ground and start building on that way. So we wouldn't be digging inside of the ground. There won't be any danger of getting the bones from inside of the ground, because even the stadium, which you will see further on, the stadium has been built no like with the surface, with the earth brought to the place. So again, it was done not to disturb the bones. Not that the Soviets were thinking about this, but still it was a quite smart idea to do that. Despite that, the bones were kind of surfaced from time to time in different areas, but still it wasn't the major sort of act of bone distribution in the past. And well, it was very significant. So we did start the construction October 2024. We have been constructing throughout all the winter. It was a very mild winter with not a lot of snow, and that's why the construction has continued throughout the winter period. We can move to the next slide. Here you can see the formation of the walls, which are each wall is over 80 meters long. So it's done again with the concrete. I mean, the photos don't reflect. You'll see further on in the presentation. You'll see how significant it is. By what you're looking at now, it doesn't seem to be that big, but when you actually go into the place, would actually visit the site, it's enormous. Honestly, this is enormous. This is huge. And you can see here we've been forming the walls on top of just constructing the walls. The walls are being formed as a board form. So there is a specific printing on the concrete, and you can see, yeah, there was some of the snow during the winter. So we began with the forming the walls, because inside of the walls there would be the mount where the headstones are going to come. Yeah, you can see here also we've started forming the mount. The mount is going to be just over 2 meters high, but it's going to be quite wide with over 1,200 stones standing on that mound. Again, this is another photo of the construction which has been taking place. This is more of a sort of recent photos where the walls you can see almost ready. You can see this is the pathways already being formed towards the actual embrace, actual memorial. Works are happening every day. It's a very detailed work because we have to make sure that everything is according to the design. And our next step, which is going to be the most challenging, is the bringing out the headstones, the pieces of the headstones, and forming the actual memorial from that headstones and that pieces. So you'll see on the next photos, you'll see yeah, again, this is the pathways. This is the pathways leading to the memorial, which they are also being constructed, and they're quite long as well. I mean, you'll see on the last film how big the memorial is. Now, which I mentioned, this is the mound where the headstones are going to be standing. Again, over 1,200 headstones are going to be standing on that mound. Stones are going back to its original place. All the headstones that were saved and all the headstones that have writing on it and we were able to identify the writing will go back into the mound. Now, you can see here the walls, and in original design, the top of the walls are going to be covered with the pieces of the headstones. This is the pieces that are smaller pieces that can't go into the mound, can't be formed as the headstone, but still have signage on it. So if you look at that photo, you can see smaller pieces in front and especially on the back. There are some pieces that can't be identified, that have maybe one letter there or maybe one sign there or even no sign, but still are the pieces of the headstones from the cemetery, and they will all form the top of the wall. So along the way, all the walls are going to have pieces of headstones attached to each other throughout 80 meters each. So there will be 160 meters of the pieces of the headstones that are going to be forming the walls of the embrace, which is going to be quite significant because that means that all of the headstones that were found through this almost 30 years are going back to its original place, even the pieces. And when we were sorting the headstones, we tried as much as possible to save every piece. And we were not getting rid of any, even small, and without any signs, pieces of the headstones, because they have to go back to the cemetery. They have to go back to the original place. So that's what's happening now. And in a couple of weeks, we'll be bringing the headstones out to the site of the construction, and we will start working with the headstones. And this is the most detailed and most difficult work. I mean, all of it is very difficult. But it was difficult for the constructors. Now it's going to be difficult for us because me and Nikolai and our team and volunteers and the community and constructors are going to be working together to put the headstones back in the right format, in the right, there should be a right distance between each stone. They should be rightly placed on the top of the walls. So this is now the start of a very detailed and very specific and very sensitive work that will form sort of the main idea of the memorial. I'll pass it on to Debra, but I will be more than happy to respond to any questions that you have.
So we'll do questions at the end, but this is our campaign film, but what we've done is we've updated it. So to those of you who've sort of been with us on the journey or involved in the crowdfunding campaign, you would have seen this film, but it has been adapted now to show the construction site as it was at the end of February. Now, it's not allowed to fly drones in Belarus, but we did get the permission of the Ministry of Defence, and they allowed us to fly a drone. So it incorporated into this film is some drone footage. So you're going to get a chance to actually fly over the site, and you'll see it in comparison to the sports stadium as well. So there's only a couple of minutes long.
Yeah, I just want to mention it's forbidden to fly the drones, not because just Belarus, because of the war in Ukraine, and that's why it's very specifically forbidden and restricted for the drones to fly in Belarus, even if it's a private kind of a filming drones. And yes, we did have to get a permission, and we had to then sort of show what we've been filming. It took us a couple of weeks to get this permission. Sorry.
That's right. Here we go. So as you can see, it's quite significant, and there is that drone image where you can see the running track, and here now in that piece of land, it really is becoming the memorial that we were raising that money for last year in the crowdfunding campaign. If you can see up here where there's a house with a green roof or building, all of this area was the original land of the cemetery, and until now, well, until we finish this, there will be signage there that will say that this was the Jewish cemetery. But up until now, since after the war, there's been nothing to mark this site. So it really is a very symbolic and significant moment. And here is another image from sort of very high up. And here you can see there's a road that goes all the way around the perimeter of what was the cemetery, and there will be places for parking sort of constructed around here so that visitors will be able to park and come into the complex. So it's all being thought of and being planned for. So how does this memorial play a pivotal role in Jewish history? Well, it's going to put the Jewish cemetery back on the map, literally back on the world map. It's going to give the functioning community a place to commemorate those who have gone before them. It's going to give the Jews from Brest living in the diaspora a place to visit in memory of their ancestors. It will play a major part on the heritage route to tell the story of the Jews from Brest, as we're building a Jewish cultural heritage route in Belarus. It restores history and memory. It plays a vital role in Holocaust education and helps to understand the rise of Zionism, which led to the establishment of the State of Israel, because this is going to also talk about the destruction of the Jewish community between 1941 and 1943, because approximately 26,000 Jews were murdered there. And as part of the work that we're doing, as telling the story of the Jews of Belarus, we are talking about the years before the Holocaust and what led to that. So it's a very important, it has a very important message. And here are some of the images from Brest. So this is the Hekdesh synagogue as it once used to look. It's been recently reclaimed by the local community. It is now their functioning synagogue, and this is the Brest Choral Synagogue, which is today a cinema. So there's a huge amount of Jewish history here, and this really is playing a significant role in bringing that history to light. So the importance and value of cultural heritage cannot be overstated, and our campaign aims to build a heritage site of vital importance to European civil society. Here you can see the gravestones as we had them all carefully stacked up before they went missing under the arches of the Brest fortress. So under the Council of Europe's framework, as I mentioned at the beginning, we're building a European route of Jewish heritage under the Council of Europe. So under their framework convention on the value of cultural heritage for society, which is otherwise known as the Pharaoh Convention, they say that cultural heritage represents a basis to develop dialogue, cooperation, democratic debate and participation, as well as openness between cultures. So this really, really is fundamentally important to civil society. So construction is due to complete, as I said, in the summer of 2025 this year, but we need that final push. So we are launching, or we have actually launched, a new campaign called Stepping Out Together, a Global Challenge, where we're inviting people to join a walkathon to raise the final funds needed. It is essentially a sponsored walk that people can do wherever they are in the world, and I'm going to explain how that works. So we're asking people to get walking to support the cause. Interestingly, some people have said, can I cycle it? Yes. People can do what they want to create awareness and say that they're doing a challenge, and invite their friends to support. So there is a page now on the Together Plans website. As you go into the home page, you see Stepping Out Together, a Global Challenge, and you can click the button and it takes you to the campaign. And if you're in the United States, it's also on our sister charity, on our sister non-profit page, which is the Jewish Tapestry Project. So it looks exactly the same as the Together Plan, it's just on the Jewish Tapestry Project page. Once you get in, you can read, you scroll down and it says about this campaign, and you can open this up to read more, and it explains exactly how it works. So here you can see my team page, because you can either register as an individual or you can set up as a team, and a team could be a group of friends, it could be some family members. My grandchildren are planning to walk, and in fact the youngest is can't even walk yet, but by June we're hoping that she'll be able to do a few steps, so that will be her first charity event to raise some money. So here, this is what you see on the Together Plans page at the moment. We've got Neil here with us this evening. So I don't know if those of you who were here right at the very beginning, he's just done a training walk up in Wigan. And I did a training walk yesterday because I'm also walking. There are people now signed up, and we are hoping more will do. Now, the way it works is that you once you register, you just decide that you can walk wherever you are. You can walk between the 18th of April and the 8th of June. So you choose a date to suit you. You choose your own route. You set your own distance, and you can walk solo or with friends and or family. As I said, you can create a team if you want to. And all you need to do is register, just setting up your fundraising page, which you then send out and ask people to support you and complete your walk. And on your fundraising page, you can write why you're doing it, what you're doing, where you're doing it. You can upload a photograph of yourself, and it's that simple. And walks can be anything. It can be anything from a stroll in the park to 10 laps of your local park to wherever, or a full marathon, which is what I'm doing on June the 8th. So here is me walking a marathon in Minsk in 2015. I'm actually blogging as I train. I've just published my second blog to my Facebook page, and this was a walk that we did. In fact, I walked 2 marathons that summer, one in May and one in June 2015. And we were walking we walked all around Minsk and ended our walk at the Trostinets. It's a memorial that marks a very significant site that was a death camp. And it was actually the week before the official opening. So we actually got this onto Belarus television the week before it actually officially was on Belarus television, which was one of my claims to fame. This is, again, another computer-generated visual of what we're hoping the finished memorial will look like. And there's a more overview from looking from above of what it will look like. Which will be a very, as I said, significant achievement. And here we've got a sort of a mocked up image of it coming to life. So this is an invitation for you to join us, take the final steps, and to make history together. Because as with crowdfunding, as we've experienced, when it's a shared effort, it's easier to bring it over the line. And the plan is to complete this summer. So that's the presentation. And now I'd be delighted to answer any questions that any of you have got. Feel free to unmute. Silence. Neil, tell us about your training while we're waiting for anybody to ask us a question. I'm sure there are some questions.
Well, I'm sure there are some questions. I mean, my training is progressing, shall we say. I woke up this morning, it was absolutely lashing down with rain in sunny Wigan, and I thought, oh, do I really want to do this? But luckily, I waited till the afternoon, and we are very lucky in the northwest of England to have a fantastic canal network. So I had a very pleasant stroll along there, and yeah, just trying to slowly build up now. I think I haven't finally decided which date I'm going to do the actual walk on, but I've sort of realized that I don't really know, and I know a lot more about sort of Jewish heritage, Holocaust history, and that sort of thing in Belarus and the Baltic states than I actually do in my own local area. So I'm using the walk to sort of familiarize myself with Jewish history and heritage in Greater Manchester. So I'll be walking about 25 miles to very various sort of sites around Manchester and finishing up at the fantastic Jewish Museum in Cheetham Hill. So
Fantastic.
yeah, just feeling like really inspired by this amazing project.
Well, that's brilliant. Thank you. I mean, people don't have to walk, 25 or 26 miles. They can do 1 mile. It's not, and at their own pace. It doesn't have to be fast. It doesn't have to be, it really, it's more about.
Mine won't be fast, believe me.
No, I mean the point is it's about sort of taking those steps and sharing it with people and creating awareness as well. Jack, I can see you've got a hand up.
Yes. Do your records go back to World War I about who was buried there and what graves you found from that period?
So Artur, this is one for you to answer.
Well, we first of all we made a catalog of all the headstones that we were able to read, and the catalog is online. You can find it through our website. Now the death records of the people buried at the cemetery have not survived. There are no death records. We're trying to get it bit by bit from archives, and our researchers in Brest, they have started to do the job of getting references from one place to another, and we have only started to build the list of people who potentially could be buried at the cemetery, because there were not such records back then. So we're trying our best to find out who to create those lists and find out who the names of the people who were buried there.
Thank you. The other thing is my uncle that survived came to the United States, and he actually wrote a book about the whole family's trip through Bereza. They lived in Bereza, and some of them escaped. My grandmother was murdered there, but there's a whole book on it, and if you'd like it as part of the archives, I could send it to you.
Yes, please. That would be great. Yes, would really like that.
Just to say, Bereza is the place where there's in Bereza there's a place called Brunner, which is in the forest. That's the execution place of 50,000 Jews, both from the Brest region, from Poland, from other regions, from Pinsk and Kobrin and other areas. This is the biggest mass grave where Jews were executed during the Second World War.
Yeah, I have relatives that stayed there, and they were murdered there. And one of them was an eyewitness, and her testimonies in Yad Vashem about some of the family members.
Yes, only today, I also, interestingly enough, I got from the community in Brest, I got a news that there is a lady who used to be a teacher of geography in school, and who, as a young person, as a kid and a teenager, lived near the cemetery. And I'm going to go to Brest and interview her. So we're going to also have some archive, some material for the archive, some new information. Yes, but do send anything you've got that would be very valuable.
All right. Well, thank you for all your work, to all of you. It's a mitzvah. It's wonderful.
Thank you.
Jack, can I interrupt? What's the name of the book?
Lullaby of Guns. It's in the United States Congress in the reading room, and I have several copies, but I also digitized it.
Well, if you provide Deborah with the details, I'm sure Deborah can pass them on to me. She knows I'm a bit of a book collector, so.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Neil's part of the Together plan. He's part of us. Absolutely. Thank you. We'll be in touch. We'll talk about that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Much appreciated. So, yes. Yeah, Natalie, did you have a question?
Yeah, what is our shortfall? What are you expecting to raise from this? What's the
So,
target?
well, we've put on the website that we want to try and raise £40,000. So there's a possibility we may have a few offline donations as well. But you know, the more people who we get walking and fundraising, the sort of getting towards that target will get us there.
Okay. And also, do we have a date for visiting the opening? Are you going to put together a group?
So it's the 28th is the date that we're all working towards, and yes, we're going to be sending out some information about if anybody's interested in coming, then how to sort of get involved, if they to sort of show us that they're interested. So yes,
Yeah, Stanley and I would very much like to go.
absolutely, definitely, 100%.
Anything
Harold,
like it? Hi,
hello.
my name is Harold Eckstein. I'm living in Israel at the moment. My father was born in Brest. He had 7 siblings. He was an orphan, and he was rescued by Isaac
Oh,
Ochberg,
Isaac Hochberg, absolutely. Yeah,
in
yeah.
1923 roundabout. But Isaac Ochberg only took out 3 of my father's siblings, my father, my uncle, and my aunt, and they left behind another 3 siblings, which up until today we have not managed to find them. I don't know if they got out of Brest, if they were murdered there. We have no idea. I've been trying to find them for years and years through Ochberg, through their archives. And that's my interest in the gravestones. I was just wondering, I wouldn't know if there's any names of my family, my uncles and my aunt. So it would be very interesting. I unfortunately can't make it out to Brest. I've got trouble with my feet. I've got arthritis, so I don't walk very much. But I've kept interest over all these years and really looked forward to watching your video. Thank you very much for allowing me to see that. It was an eye-opener, and please God, one day I would know where my relations are.
Have you done any archive research in Belarus? Have you tried to find anything out through the archives?
Yes, apparently there was nothing. They say there were no records whatsoever. And I went through Yad Vashem as well. There were no records. So there's no records of my family. I'm not the only one in the world that's unfortunately cannot find their relations.
No, the Ochberg story is amazing. I have to say, and
Yes.
not a lot of people know about him, but it's something that we've created a Holocaust education program called Making History Together, and we talk about Isaac Ochberg and what he did. It was quite extraordinary. He was a South African. Those of you who don't know about him,
where I come from. Yes.
yeah, and he went to Ukraine and to Belarus, and he saved a lot of orphans and took them back to South Africa. Really, absolutely, very few people know this incredible story, and it really is unbelievable. And there's a film, actually, I don't know if you've seen the film My Dear Children.
No.
Oh, okay, I'll send you the details.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I've seen the Ochberg from whence they came. The survivors of Ochberg who went to South Africa and who grew up there, and all the children. And from the 200 orphans that he brought out, there was there's probably 3,000
Descendants.
descendants of the
Yeah.
Ochberg. He did an amazing
He did an
job.
amazing job. He was a hero, and the children used to call him Daddy Ochberg.
That's right.
Yeah.
I met quite a few of them, I met them at the Ochberg Memorial when we opened it up, and unfortunately, there's none of them left today. They're all passed away.
Yeah, extraordinary, absolutely extraordinary story. I'm delighted that you've come and we're meeting you. Thank you.
Thank you very much for allowing me to do this.
Oh no, it's a pleasure. Do we have any other questions? I mean, we are very available at any point in time. We're going to be sending out this recording hopefully tomorrow, once it's processed, with various links and things for you to read. On the website, on our website, you can find the actual, in fact, what I might do is show you while we're here. Oh, I've got a couple of raised hands. In a minute, I'll show you on the website where you can find the link to the catalogue, and also where you can find the articles, because over the whole time that this project has been developing, we've been writing articles, but there's also a page where you can read media articles, because it's been covered quite a lot in the Times, in CNN, Vice, online. So there's been quite a lot of media coverage, and we're hoping to get some more media coverage as it comes to its conclusion. So it's and it obviously will get coverage once it's built. So yeah, so watch this space, but we'll send those links out tomorrow as well with this recording. Ronald, hi, nice to see you.
Hi, Debra. Thank you so much for the update in the presentation. Out of curiosity, in terms of promotion, are you tracking via other cemetery projects coming up spring and summer? Because I know, for example, I think the folks at Jewish Gen run something in Poland, etc. Because I think there's a huge opportunity to do cross promotion or dissemination of information, even for the latest push and the walk and all of that. So I think that's a question slash recommendation. What I just did now, Sunday evenings, I get together with folks from the Jewish genealogical portal, which is a big Facebook group that has more than 100,000 people, and we get together on Sundays to talk about genealogy. And in that group, we actually have a Discord server with genealogy information, but we also have country websites. And I've listed the Together Plan multiple times under Belarus, but I actually just listed the equivalent tapestry in the US because most of the folks are Americans. So I think there's a lot of opportunity for us to cross.
That's a great idea. Yeah, thank you for that.
Yeah, because I know that a lot of the folks that I know, spring, summer, they come to here, Europe, or they come from the US, but it's usually Poland.
Yeah.
And I think those folks will be really interested that it's not just about the physical boundaries that make up Poland today, because as you described, those borders have changed tremendously.
Exactly. Yeah, and a lot of people, whose families, were from that region when it was Poland, a lot of the archive material is in Belarus. And for those of you who don't know, I know you know, Ronald, but we do run an archive search service where we help people find their records in the Belarus archives. So, and in fact, we've got a talk coming up it's all on our website on April the 22nd about the archive service that we run. And for those of you who are members of Jewish Gen, we're also giving a talk for Jewish Gen on April the 2nd about that. So, hopefully, if you're interested, you can find us on one of those. But the one we're giving, we've been asked to give that talk for Kesha. You can sign up to that via our website under events. So you just go to the drop down under events and you'll find it there. So yeah. But yeah, thank you, Ronald. Those are really good points. Yeah, really good. So yeah, I mean, I'm hoping that you'll be tempted to join us. And go for a stroll, and help us to create awareness, and it should be fun. And if you do, send us photographs, because we want to show that we've got people walking in different parts of the world, which is going to be great. So hopefully we're going to have somebody walking for us in Spain. We'll have a couple of people walking for us in New York, I think, possibly someone in Greece. We've got several people walking in the UK. So it will create a buzz. And so the BNI group that I'm a member of, some of them are walking. They've created a team, so they're all training with me at the moment, but they've all decided to jump in and go the whole hog and do the marathon with me. So we're going to be walking through London, and actually Artur and my team, because my team is myself and my 3 colleagues in Minsk, including Artur, and they are going to be walking in Brest on June the 8th, which is the last day of the campaign. So they will be walking around the streets of the Jewish streets of Brest, and they'll be posting to social media some of the sites that a lot of people won't know about in Jewish Brest, and they will end their walk at the site of the memorial. So all of that will be very tangible and visible on the day. So while I'll be pushing my way through the sites of London, Buckingham Palace and the Mall and Trafalgar Square and the River Thames, they will be walking their way around Jewish Brest. So it should be quite exciting as we work towards that. And as I said, I'm blogging about my training, so you can find me on my Facebook and my Instagram pages and follow my progress. And you're going to hopefully be seeing some of what they're getting up to in Belarus as they get ready for their walk on June the 8th. So hoping that it will be a lot of fun, and then some of us will all get together and take ourselves over to Belarus and witness this with our own eyes and see it for real, and see the fruits of all our labour as we put this really important piece of history on the map, which I think we should all be very proud of. So we are all utterly determined to bring it home, as they say. So yeah. So unless anybody wants to ask anything else, we are going to be sending lots of communiques out. Every month in our newsletter, there is an update on the memorial. We are fully contactable at all times. If anybody's got questions, please do get in touch. We're happy to jump on Zooms with people. We are available, to answer all questions at all times, because this is our main focus now for the coming months. And as I said, if anybody is interested, and I know Natalie, you've already said that you're possibly interested. I know David, you're possibly interested. Then we're going to be sending out some more information shortly as we start to put that together. And for Americans, we know that there is a visa requirement. Artur, do you know a little bit more about that at the moment? Because we've got an American coming to Belarus in a week's time.
Yes, just for Americans, there is a visa requirement. You either open a visa in the country of your residence, and we can send the invitation, or we can send an application of obtaining a visa at the airport if you fly through the airport. But it needs to be done at least a couple of weeks before you travel.
Yeah. So yeah, if you find that it is something you want to do, then we can help you, we can guide you, and we can help with all the logistics, hotels and what have you. You'll just need to book your flights, but it will become clearer as we move forward. But as I said, if you want to walk, you just need to go on and register, and I hope that some of you will. It will be fun, and it doesn't have to be a big long walk. So thank you for being here. Stand by for the follow-up email tomorrow. And as I said, please be in touch with us and keep talking to us, and let's all do this together. Thank you so much.
Thank you.